It's like the best video ever.
This is great.
We got 25 minutes. We gotta go.
What's
Hey! We did it.
Wednesday. We did it.
Today is episode 8. Yay!
What's happening, family?
Yes, we're really excited to be here with you guys. It is June 2nd, 2021, episode 8. And what is today's question?
That. Oh, I like that though. Janelle's throwing some different stuff out here. We saying dates now. We throwing it out there now. No. I love that. Today's question, and I will actually do the honors. When starting a business, do you need mentorship or coaching? Absolutely amazing question. Guys, keep the questions coming. I mean, you guys literally are the lifeblood of this show. And these questions drive, obviously, just everything that we discuss in this 25 minutes. So we thank you for that question. And the blessing that we actually have is we're not the only people that have the an opinion, I would say, on this. So Janelle, tell everybody who it is or what is we have today that's very special.
So we've been on our run and theme for Bench Talk. We're really excited to be able to ask these real questions to others. That way you can hear from other people who are in the field, people who are on the ground, doing what needs to be done to get things going for themselves, for their families, for their communities. And so we're really excited because today we have a huge guest for you guys. I'm so excited to introduce this young man. He is an amazing father, an amazing husband, but even more, you can find him DJing on a radio station near to you. You can also no. So we are really excited to have him. Not only that, but because he is an entrepreneur himself. He is a Marine. We just had Memorial Day. That's why I said the date. We just had Memorial Day process. So having a Marine with us is amazing. Hoorah, Semper Fi, all that stuff. And so I'm really excited to have with us today, Devon Benjamin. Yes.
I think he decided to, and then he decided to jump off. He's like, I'm on. No, I'm not on today.
Yes, hello.
Welcome to SayThat Channel, Devon. We are so excited to have you on with us. So before we get into the question, I know the people are just wondering, they'd love to hear a little bit about your story, about your background. So if you can just tell us, like, you know, where you grew up, where you're from, where you currently are now, what you're doing now. Obviously, you're in your fatigue, so thank you so much again, sir, for your service. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I mean, that can probably take all day. It might be like 3 or 4 episodes, but you know, I'll keep it short and simple. So as introduced, my name is Devon Benjamin. You might have seen on the intro, you saw Devon Williams, which is my father's name. I went by that for a little while, so some people know me as both names. I am married to a beautiful young lady, about to celebrate our 2nd anniversary.
Just so y'all know, we get to do that all episode.
Getting ready to celebrate the 2nd birthday of my first and only child, Dylan. Amazing young man. Yeah, I was born and raised in Guyana, 21 years. I moved to the United States, been here in Brooklyn about a year. Later, I decided to join the few and the proud, United States Marine Corps, and see where my career took me from there. I've done a lot of jobs, odds in. I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Walgreens, Pizza Hut, you name it. before I moved into the field of work as a maintenance mechanic, getting to do more technical stuff, which is what I like to do. Um, Presently, I am in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't say where, for some obvious reasons, but I am here on a base, currently working. I am a reservist. I don't do this 7 days a week. I do it mostly one weekend a month, sometimes a little bit more than that, as of right now. I currently work for a company called C&W Services, which is a third party Amazon. I do maintenance mechanic there. I'm the one that makes sure the equipment stay running so that you can get your package in 24 hours.
Big deal.
While doing that, I'm also working on the COVID mission in New York, JTF South, at the vaccination sites, making sure that people get fully vaccinated so that we can get back to somewhat normalcy. And apart from that, like Janelle say, I'm into starting my own business, an entertainment company that I'm currently building from the ground up, with a team, not by myself. Um, I do DJ on Caribbean Power Jam Radio. I DJ at other events. I throw parties, um, and I like to get my hands in a lot of stuff. And just about a year ago, I met this awesome young lady here, and she introduced me to this awesome gentleman. And I can say from then to now, I've learned a lot, and I am growing in this lifestyle. And getting to do something that before I didn't appreciate much. I would say I didn't think it was for me, and Janelle can tell you from when we first spoke. Usually it's a conversation she had with people for 15, 20 minutes, and we were on the phone for hours, going back and forth. And so I must say thank you to her, for getting me into this line of work and into this business. But yeah, I guess that's the shortest form I can put it in about me. There's so much more. Like I said, I can go on. There's so much more about me, but
No,
that's
thank
it in
you.
a nutshell.
That was a big deal. I just want to put it out there for everybody who was wondering, when he said he's in an undisclosed location, that means, AKA, if he tells you where he is, then he has to come kill you.
I was thinking the same exact thing.
Got it.
I was like, he said too much, and I'm worried about these people crashing down my door.
Yes.
So actually, I just wanted to jump in, and we definitely have, just for all our people, we got 25 minutes on the clock. But I did want to ask, and just because I know a little bit about this story, where Devon just alluded to that his first interaction, maybe, one of the first times I think he talked to Janelle. Could you guys share that story? We won't give specifics of company or a lot of that stuff, but I think that story in itself, before we answer the question today, is a teaching lesson in itself. The way that you guys ultimately ended up meeting.
Yeah. Janelle, you want to go, or you want me to talk from my side?
That was a Janelle question.
Oh, okay. I
okay.
didn't know. I thought you were talking to Devon. Okay, sorry. So,
well, he wouldn't tell you, my friend. No, you're go. What did you do?
So essentially, we do relationship marketing, right? So it's all about relationships and talking to your network. And so I was just reaching out to some people that I was friends with on social media, and looking to see, just kind of screening people to see who would be a good fit for what we do. And happened to talk to a young man who lives in Guyana, and seemed like a really intelligent, like super smart, business savvy young guy. And so we started to talk. And he was just like, the way his lifestyle was in the current moment, he was like, he wasn't sure that he could participate right now, but he knew exactly who to point me to. He was like, you got to speak to my best friend. His name is Devon. He actually lives in Brooklyn. And I was like, awesome. I live in New York City. That sounds amazing. I would love an introduction. And I think that's basically how I came in contact with Devon. His friend introduced us. And then Devon and I set up a time for us to talk. And that's how I met Devon. It's all about your network. It's all about your relationships. And I think if more people understood that your net worth really and truly is your network, I think people would probably engage differently with their network of people in their lives, their friends and their families, essentially. So that's essentially how we met. And Devon is right. We had a long conversation. I showed him the information, and I think, I mean, again, Devon, chime in, but on my side of it, I was like, oh, he's asking a lot of good business questions. And I'm glad that he's asking them, because some people think this is like a lottery ticket, or like maybe, you know, like hopefully this will work. But he understands that I'm not looking for somebody who's like, hopefully, like I'm looking for somebody who's ready to build, like, and do something, take action. And I think he respected that part of where I was coming from. This wasn't like a magic wand kind of a thing. And I think people think that, right? They're like, oh, you're just trying to like show me some like crazy thing. Like if I do this or I invest here, it's going to turn into millions of dollars or something like that. And that's not a real business. That's not really what we do. So that was kind of my side of the conversation. Does that answer your question, Winston?
No, it does. And again, I just wanted people to hear that part, because Devon said it and it's just like, well, so it's like, well, what's going on? I loved when you guys shared that story for me, because I think it rings, there's just so much that goes into when you expose somebody or you share your idea with somebody. And I can tell you personally that if you ask the right questions, you can get the right thing. So the fact that Devon's partnered up with you in a business, whereas you didn't know him, I think, how many people do we share that we directly do know, right? We reach out to, they are a no to the idea, which is essentially, I know he was busy, but he's a no. He's not, he didn't decide to do it with you, but he connected you to somebody who, and, Devon will definitely share more about as he answers the question about just how much there's so many different businesses that he's doing. But I love that it was a no from the initial person you reached out to, but that wasn't how you looked at it. It was, well, who do you know? And that's something that's just one of the questions that they teach us, is like, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? And, he connected to somebody who is definitely an entrepreneur and is right. I've had just the blessing to work with Devon on just a small project in terms of interviewing and stuff, and just in terms of business. So Devon, to answer today's question, when starting a business, and you've started multiple, do you believe mentorship, coaching, I know guidance is one of the words that we had thrown out there earlier, is something that you need?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Regardless of who you are or who you think you are or what you have done in the past, with every new venture you take, if it's something new to you, you definitely need that coaching and that mentorship. Um, there might be some people out there who think that they got it all put together and they can figure it out. And that was me. Growing up, I always see myself as a leader. From growing in church and being a Sunday school teacher to a youth president, to being a class president while going to school, to going to jobs and becoming the lead employee, the lead tech, and the supervisor. Like, I've always been in a leadership position. Even now, as I'm in the United States Marine Corps, I'm a sergeant of Marines. And any Marine that you know will tell you that sergeants, we are the backbone. We are the backbone of the Marine Corps. We are what holds the Marine Corps together. We're the middle between the lower enlisted and the guys at the top that makes the decision. We're the one that hold them together like a bridge. And so when I get into stuff in the beginning, when I was younger, I always thought that, you know what, I know what's best for me. You cannot tell me what's best. Winston can't tell me what's best for me. Winston don't know my life. How can Janelle come and tell me how to run a business that's my business? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I looked at it. I knew what I was doing. I had it together. And boy, was I wrong. Because I have failed miserably. Miserably. I have lost, and I'm not going to say how much money I've lost trying to do business on my own, thinking that I know best, thinking that I had it planned out. So to answer the question, definitely yes. And to give two quick examples, one is with the radio station that I play on. eventually, when we first started playing on the radio station, when we went to the radio station, we didn't go to play on the radio station. We went there for them to do an ad for us. And because we were throwing this big event and we wanted the publicity. And the owner of the radio station, he's like, "Oh, you guys look like a fun group. You know," he's like, "I like the way you speak. You look like you're about it." And he was like, um, "What do you guys do?" And I broke it down. And he's like, "Yo, I have a spot on the radio station if you guys would like to come and play." So talked it over with the team, and we was like, "Yes." So when we first started, I had DJs on my team, and they would usually go play. We play a certain night of the week, and there's one night the DJ couldn't make it, and I called the owner, and I was like, "Hey, we're not coming tonight because my DJ can't make it." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "So you can come and fill in?" And I'm like, "No, I could play music, but probably in my backyard for me and my family, not for a public of hundreds of thousands of people listening." And he was like, "How are you the CEO of this organization?" And no, you need to know how to do everything. And I was like, never thought about it that way. So what did I do? I went home, got my laptop, I started getting more music, and I sat there and I started working on my craft. And I would speak to him from time to time. And before you know it, I was playing half of a segment. I was playing like half an hour on the show just to see how it goes. Then I was playing an hour because the show is 2 hours. My DJ would play 1 hour, then I would play 1 hour. Then the first opportunity came again where my DJ couldn't make it, and I had to play. I was nervous. I played. I didn't think I did that well, but when I got off, the manager, he was there. He sat me down. He's like, "You didn't do bad for your first time." He's like, "I wouldn't believe that was your first time." He's like, "There's a couple of things you need to tighten up." And he started working with me. And it was through his mentorship that now I go to the radio station on my own without the co-host, and I go and I play, I speak, I ask questions, I answer the phone. Like I do it all in the studio, being a DJ and a radio personnel by myself, and then along with co-hosts. So I think that's a very a good example of where when you're going into certain stuff, you having a mentor, having somebody to coach you along is very important. It is very, very, very important. And then real quick, with Janelle, the same thing. When we got into this, like you said, I had a lot of questions. Now, I didn't know whether my questions were good questions, bad questions. I was just more concerned about me. If I'm going to get into this organization, and if I'm going to get into to launch a new business and setting myself up, I wanted to know what I was getting into. I wanted to know how this would affect me, how it would affect my family, how it would affect my son, my time, my everything. So I asked all the straightforward questions that came to mind. And she had an answer for about 98% of those questions. And the 2% that she didn't have a solid answer for, she got back to me within 28 or 48 hours with the answer, which was something that I really appreciated. So I was excited to hop on her team. I was excited to be a co-star with her. And she never let it go. I promise you that if it wasn't for her coaching and her mentorship, I might have given up already. Because there were days when I sat there and I was like, man, I don't think it's for me, and I kind of went cold for a couple of days. And she would hit me up. She's like, "Hey, I ain't hear from you in like 3 days. What's up?" I'm like, 3 days is not a long time. She's like, "Well, we usually talk at least every other day. So now it's a third other day. What's going on?" And then I'll tell her, "Well, this is happening. This is happening." And the one thing that I really always appreciate is that she never made it, I want to say, like just about the business. Like you can tell when somebody is only after you to do things that would benefit them. She sat there and she was literally speaking to me from life's perspective. Okay, so if you do this, how would this affect that? And if you do this, how would that affect that? Even when I had a personal issue, she called me and spoke, and she's like, "Well, I had a similar issue, and it had nothing to do with our business. It was my personal issue." And she was like, "Well, have you tried this? If you tried that, maybe you should." And it to see that from her, it meant a lot to me. It showed me that she didn't just care about me being her business partner so that she can make money and get rich. She actually cared about me as an individual. And that meant a lot. And because of that, it made me want to keep trying. It made me want to keep pushing. And I'm like, listen, this is a team that I definitely want to be a part of for the rest of my life. So her mentoring and her coaching, and there were times also where Winston, we got on the phone on a 3-way call, whether it was a Zoom or we're texting in our little group chat. I've been introduced to other members also that do the same thing that we do. And, you know, like it's a lot. And it's not always, one of the biggest thing before I finish is that mentorship and learning and guidance as we use, it's not always about that person who is above you, because there's people who came in after me and I've listened to their story after they came in, and I'm like, wow, I never thought of it that way. I never seen it that way. And to know you came in months after me and you're bringing this knowledge in with you, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I think that's one of the most amazing part about what we do.
Wow, those are two great stories. Thank you for those examples, and for talking about like what you've experienced and what we've done. I'm just gonna put out there, anybody who's watching this live, if you're getting value, please put value in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from, what city, what state, what country you want to know. We want to hear from you. So please put it in the chat. We will shout you out live. And I'm thinking about what you said, Devon, and I have to say, I agree with you on in many aspects, and can think of many different areas in my life where I definitely felt the same way. And to make this interesting, I was thinking, like, what if I did push the other side of it, right? And I was like, no, actually, I went to an Ivy League school. I got taught everything I need to know. I am smart. I am very intelligent. I don't need anybody telling me what to do or how to do anything. I can figure this out on my own. I'm good. I don't need coaching. I don't really think it's necessary. There's like YouTube University, if anything. So I'm good.
No, but think about that, Janelle. If even looking to, and thank you for what you shared, Devon. If even looking to some outside place, YouTube, wherever you're going to go to find the resources, it's still coaching or mentorship in some sense. Like, it's funny, as Devon was talking, there's literally a Les Brown story. Bro, I got to send you this audio where Les Brown shared how he got on to play music at the radio station where he was working, and not similar to yours, because in his instance, he sat there, he was so real quick, the story goes, he had been working at this job. Even the way he got the job was an amazing story in itself. He went there day after day to get it, got the job. One day, the guy who was the DJ was sitting there drinking, got drunk, passed out. Les Brown calls the manager of the radio station and goes, look, I think the guy's name is Rocky Reed or whatever. He's drunk. And the owner goes, okay, well, you're going to have to call the other DJs. Yeah. He goes, he hung up the phone. He ain't called nobody. He sat there and waited till the owner called back and said, hey, he goes, yeah, I tried. Nobody's available. He goes, all right, well, fine. You're going to have to do it. He goes, okay. So he actually wanted to do the thing. He didn't want any other DJ to get it because he wanted to have an opportunity. But I'm listening to that, and I'm listening to that. So I'm definitely going to share that with you. But as I'm listening to both of you guys, and even what Janelle brought up about this idea of thinking you are smart enough, and I, even if you had gone to an Ivy League school, in my mind, I think to myself, how much of that practical knowledge, just like when we criticize, and maybe not, I'm not going to say network marketers, but maybe entrepreneurs, where we talk about the fact that you were taught in school by people who didn't have the lifestyle you wanted, right? I love, teachers are great. Teaching as a whole is obviously something that we need. But I think back to business classes that I took. And I remember, again, another story where a guy was talking about walking out of a class. Why? Because he's in a business class. He goes, the guy comes up in front of the room and goes, I'm going to teach you guys how to be rich. He goes, he looks at the guy, and what he was wearing was pants with holes in it. And he looks and he asks him, hey, what do you drive? And he goes, hey, that beat up Dodge outside. He goes, he immediately got up and walked out of the class. And it's because he clearly recognized, if you were the thing you were saying you're going to teach me, chances are you probably wouldn't be here. And or if you were here to teach me, you would reflect that. And I think about our business where even Devon said it, there are people who get in after you who may have a wealth of knowledge that you didn't know, and they come in with it. Or imagine the people who are in this business for long and they may not be actively in the market or in the field anymore, and so they can't currently teach you something. So it's like, is it mentorship and coaching at you know what I mean, at that point? Or maybe I'm thinking about, who do we, if we need to be careful about who we get our coaching from.
Oh,
So
Definitely.
I actually would say to Janelle's point, or actually I guess I would disagree with Janelle, because I do agree with Devon in terms of I don't even think it's important. I think it's essential to have mentorship or coaching when starting a business, because you don't know what you don't know. And what Devon could clearly save me time with coming into his arena, if I say just to go into music, is I can walk into the studio and spend maybe days trying to learn buttons, where Devon can come in and go, you probably don't even need to touch half these buttons, brother. You just need to touch these three. Think about it. He's probably like, these are probably preset and you probably don't need to adjust them. And he
Yeah.
can save me time. And he mentioned it so often, money, which is what I know people lose when they start businesses, with trial and error. And he can cut down that learning curve by giving me maybe 2 pieces of advice. Don't touch that lever, only focus on this thing. And it'll save me, again, a lot of the heartache or headaches. And I know, Janelle, you're saying the Ivy League school thing, but I mean, that's obviously a very small percentage of, I mean, just even Americans alone who have the opportunity to go to an Ivy League school, let alone get out of one and then step into a business. So what would you say there?
I definitely think it's important who you listen to. And I think it really does depend on what happens. I think something that Devon mentioned is a real thing. Like, okay, so you think you can do this on your own? Go ahead and do it. You're smart enough, go do it. See what happens.
Hmm.
If it's not happening, if it's not working, then obviously you need to get assistance. You need to you need to lower your ego and go figure out who has what you want, and go figure out, like, how can I get in contact that way and get some guidance, some
And
advice, some mentorship or coaching.
and real quick, there are a few people who have done it, who I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna get it. And they have found some success. But little do they know that if you had the right
Mm-hmm.
coaching and the right mentorship, the time that you took
Mm-hmm.
to get to your successful point might have been cut in half. Or how successful you are would have been twice as much.
Yeah.
So you think you're successful. You think, man, I'm doing this, I'm making this. Think about how much more you would have made, or how much easier it would have been if you had the right people to the left and right of you helping you out and telling you, giving you the knowledge that you need to do what you're doing.
But
No, no,
I'm concerned
absolutely.
sometimes, because when people like, how do you, like, what if they're trying to like get something out of me? Like, what if they're like, yeah, I'll coach you, but you got to pay me like $1,000, or like, yeah, I'll do this, but like, what if it's just better if I go it on my own?
Me personally, I can tell you, we have a term that we use. We say you have to pay to see. Um, and paying to see means that in order for you, sometimes for you to get where you need to go, you have to pay your dues, so to speak. You hop on public transportation, you got to pay the bus to take you from Brooklyn Ave to New York Ave. You got to pay that train to take you from Brooklyn to Manhattan. You're not just going to get that free ride. So for some people, they're only doing it from a business standpoint. They'll only mentor you if they can gain from it. And I honestly, and you guys may or may not agree, but I think that's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's not that much about them. It's more about you. If they're giving you the right information, and you have to pay to get that right information, then I don't see anything wrong with it. But that is just me. I don't know how yourself and Winston would look at that.
No. I can't wait to share my thoughts on it, but we're out of time. So we're gonna definitely keep this going. Yeah, no. We're definitely gonna keep this going because that's actually just opened up what you guys just touched on. Opened up, and I just started immediately thinking of some other just examples where what you guys just both touched on. Well, we're gonna get into it, but that is it for today. We definitely want to thank our guests. Absolutely amazing, Devon. Thank you, brother. Again, like Janelle said in the beginning, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you and the men and women that are around you do for this country and for our freedoms. And
Thank you for your support.
I think it actually is very fitting that we close this on this, like, as always, remember you deserve bigger life. You added an extra 2 seconds. I swear Janelle is trying to trump my good life by holding hers like bigger life. She's trying to like one up the good life.
Oh man! Everybody, please smash that like button. Please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We're gonna continue this conversation in Overtime on Patreon. You can find the link for that down below. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on Overtime.
Absolutely. Have an amazing week. We'll see you guys.